The Coding Warrior, Rise After Failure. There was once a young man with a dream. He wanted to understand technology. He wanted to learn how computers worked. He wanted to write code. He wanted to understand networks. And one day, he wanted to become a skilled cybersecurity professional. But there was something standing between him and his dream. It was not a lack of intelligence. It was not a lack of opportunity. It was something much simpler. He was afraid of failure. Every time his code showed an error, he felt frustrated. Every time he failed to understand a new concept, he thought he was falling behind. Every time someone else learned faster than him, he started comparing himself. And slowly, he began to question himself. One night, he sat in front of his computer. The room was quiet, the screen was glowing, and there was one unfinished program on the screen. He had been trying to fix the same problem for hours. Nothing worked. He tried again, another error. He changed the code, another error. He searched through his notes, still nothing. Finally, he leaned back in his chair. He was exhausted, and a thought came into his mind. Maybe I'm not made for this. For a few seconds, he believed it. Then he looked at his keyboard. He looked at his notes, and he remembered why he started. He did not start because it was easy. He started because it mattered to him. So he took a deep breath and said to himself, I do not need to solve everything tonight. I only need to understand one more thing. He opened his notes again. He started reading slowly, carefully, one line at a time, and then he found the problem. It was a tiny mistake, a single character. One small mistake had stopped his entire program. He fixed it, then he pressed run. The program worked. He smiled. But the real victory was not the program. The real victory was that he almost gave up. But he did not. That night he learned something that would change his life. Failure is not always a wall. Sometimes failure is a teacher. From that day forward, he changed the way he learned. He stopped asking, why am I not successful yet? Instead, he started asking, what can I learn today? He stopped comparing his journey with other people. He stopped worrying about how quickly others were moving. He focused on his own path, one day at a time, one lesson at a time, one problem at a time, one line of code at a time. He learned Python, then Linux, then networking, then web technologies, then cybersecurity concepts. Every new skill opened another door, and behind every door, there was another challenge. Sometimes he felt strong. Sometimes he felt lost. Sometimes he understood something immediately. Sometimes he needed several days to understand one simple concept. But he kept going because he finally understood a powerful truth. You do not become skilled by knowing everything. You become skilled by continuing to learn what you do not know. Months passed. Then years. His skills grew, but something else grew too. His patience, his discipline, his confidence. He learned that discipline was more reliable than motivation. Motivation could disappear, discipline could remain. There were mornings when he wanted to study. There were mornings when he wanted to do nothing. There were nights when coding felt exciting. There were nights when even opening a computer felt difficult. But he made a simple promise to himself. He would keep moving. Even if the step was small, if he had 2 hours, he would study for 2 hours. If he had 30 minutes, he would study for 30 minutes. And if he had only 10 minutes, he would still learn something, because 10 minutes of progress was better than 0 minutes of progress. One day, someone asked him, how did you become so good? He smiled. He could have talked about books. He could have talked about computers. He could have talked about programming languages. But he answered with something much simpler. I kept showing up. The person looked confused. He continued, I failed many times. I made stupid mistakes. I misunderstood things. I had bad days. I wanted to quit, but I kept coming back. That is how I improved. And this is the secret most people never see. When you look at a successful person, you usually see the result. You see the skills, you see the confidence, you see the achievements. But you do not see the thousands of ordinary days behind them. You do not see the mistakes. You do not see the unanswered questions. You do not see the late nights. You do not see the moments of doubt. You do not see how many times they had to start again. Success often looks sudden from the outside, but from the inside, it is usually built slowly, quietly, one ordinary day after another. So if you are listening to this right now and you are struggling with your own journey, listen carefully. You are allowed to be a beginner. You are allowed to make mistakes. You are allowed to learn slowly. You are allowed to have difficult days. You are allowed to rest, but do not confuse a difficult day with a failed life. One bad day does not define you. One mistake does not define you. One failed project does not define you. One rejection does not define you. What matters is what you do next. Do you stop or do you rise? The coding warrior understood one thing. Every failure gave him information. Every error showed him something. Every difficult problem made him stronger. Every time he started again, he became harder to stop. And eventually, he stopped being afraid of failure because he understood that failure was part of the journey. He no longer said, I failed. He started saying, I learned something. And that small change in mindset changed everything. Years later, he looked back at his old computer. He remembered the beginner who once struggled with simple code. He remembered the first errors, the first projects, the first difficult lessons, the nights when he thought he was not good enough. And he smiled because that person had not disappeared. That person had become stronger, not because life became easy, but because he became stronger than the difficulties. He realized something beautiful. The person he wanted to become was being built by the struggles he once wanted to escape. So remember this. Do not wait until you feel ready. Start. Do not wait until you know everything. Learn. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Work with what you have. Do not wait for motivation. Build discipline. And when you fail, do not stay on the ground. Rest. Learn. Stand up and continue, because the road to mastery is not a straight line. Sometimes you move forward. Sometimes you slow down. Sometimes you make a mistake. Sometimes you have to start again. That is okay. You are still moving. One day, you will look back. You will see how far you have come. You will remember the beginner who was afraid of errors, and you will smile. You will remember the days when you wanted to quit, and you will be grateful that you continued. You will remember the small steps that seemed meaningless at the time, and you will finally understand those small steps were building your future. So, coding warrior, if today is difficult, keep going. If today is slow, keep going. If you fail today, learn from it. If you are tired, rest. Then come back, open your computer, write one more line, solve one more problem, learn one more concept, take one more step. You do not need to conquer the entire mountain today. You only need to climb the next step, then another, and one day you will reach places you once thought were impossible. Your journey is not finished. Your story is not finished. Your failures are not the end of your story. They are chapters. And you are still writing the next chapter. So rise after failure, learn after mistakes, grow through difficulty, build with patience, protect your knowledge with responsibility, and never forget why you started, because the strongest warrior is not the one who never falls. The strongest warrior is the one who falls, learns, gets back up, and keeps moving. One more lesson, one more line of code, one more challenge, one more day, one more step, until one day you look back and say, I did it. And perhaps the most beautiful part will be this. You will realize you did not become a coding warrior in one day. You became one. Every time you chose to continue, keep learning, keep building, keep growing, keep your knowledge ethical, and keep moving forward. Because the coding warrior does not rise because he never fails. The coding warrior rises because he refuses to let failure have the final word. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. Rise after failure. Take the next step and keep moving.